everybody, Noreen here, and I've got the 1, 2, 3 layout for November for you. And I'm going to be using Creative Memories Sugarplum collection, which is a fabulous pastel colored Christmas collection. And again, I know many of you are kind of saying, I don't know about this pastel, my colors for Christmas are a little bit more traditional. But I hope that I can show you today how to make it work with your more traditional colors. All right, so I'm going to be actually using this paper, which is the borders on one side and this great navy and white kind of snowflake pattern. And we're going to be using 2 pieces of cardstock. Now this is not a current Creative Memories color. This was actually from the Bright paper pack from a couple of years ago, and it was the textured white core cardstock. So, but it goes beautifully with the kind of turquoises in here. Of course, you can use white cardstock. Navy cardstock would be great as well. Of course, you can also scrapbook directly onto your strap hinge album pages, and then you don't have to worry about a background color. But if you're like me, you'd like the little extra color that scrapbooking on cardstock brings. So we're going to be using those papers and cardstock, and we're also going to be using some of these gorgeous die cut embellishments, the little gems, which I love, and some of the stickers, and especially I want to use some of the border stickers. I have a couple of those left in my collection as well. Okay, so if you're not familiar with the 1, 2, 3 layouts, we use the 1 piece of double-sided patterned paper that we already looked at, the 2 pieces of cardstock for our background, as I mentioned, or of course you can use the album pages, and then we make the whole thing with just 3 cuts. So each month I give you the sketch as well as a cutting guide, and you can also download the sketch and cutting guide along with a sample of the finished layout as a printable handout. So you can find that link just below the video here in the description on the YouTube channel, or if you're watching it and this video and it's embedded into the blog post, then you can just click on the links that are in the blog post. So this month's sketch has room for 6 photos. Of course, you can add more or take away some if those don't work for you. Okay, so always just remember that these are jumping off points. And the cutting guide is pretty straightforward as well. We're actually going to have 2 3-inch strips. Then we're going to take the remaining 6 by 12-inch piece, turn it sideways, and then cut it 6. So we're going to have 2 3 by 12 strips and 2 6 by 6 squares, and that's going to make all that we need for the 2-page layout. Now, you probably noticed that I've got the paper that has the border strips on it, and that can be a little bit, iffy to scrapbook with. Most of the time we would cut down through all of these strips and use them as borders, but I'm actually going to use it as a patterned paper today. And as with any pattern, I have to kind of consider which way my pattern is going to run, and that might alter my cutting guide slightly. So just for this particular piece of paper, instead of cutting it at 3 inches and then another 3 inches, I might be juggling a little bit so that I have a nice chunk of border that I can use for my 6-inch by 6-inch squares. So I'm just going to grab my ruler here, and I want to double check how wide these strips are. Okay, so if that would be 3 inches, and that would be 6 inches. So if I cut it down the middle, then I'd have this upper half for my center. Okay, let's just double check the other way. If I cut it at 3 inches here, it's going to go through the purple border, and it's not going to quite make it to the through this kind of aqua color border. My other option is to look at, should I cut off 3 inches off either end? And then I'm kind of left with this stuff in the middle here, and it's not a full border. So the best way for me to cut is to cut 3 inches and then 3 inches, and then I'm going to use this part of my border. Okay, so again, no matter what the cutting guide says, do make sure that you're kind of checking how your paper is going to work for you. All right, so there's my first cut at 3 inches. Here's my second, and again, I'm just going to make sure that it's going to go right through. That's okay. I don't mind that. All right. So now this is my 6" by 6" piece, or sorry, 6" by 12" piece. And I'm going to turn it sideways and I'm going to cut it again at 6 inches. All right. So this might look a little strange right now, but when you see the sketch, you'll see that these two 6" by 6" squares are going to be these two pieces here. So it's going to look like my borders are running right underneath my pictures. All right, so let's put it together. Done with the cutting guide, done with the cutter, and let's flip these two pieces over, sorry, not spots, and get our background paper ready. And I'll show you how this is going to come out. So we're going to lay one of my border pieces across the top there, one of my border pieces along the bottom, and then these two pieces, as I mentioned, are going to go right along the sides. Okay? Then my photos are going to fill in these gaps here. Okay, so as I mentioned, some of the colors in these photos you wouldn't necessarily think that would go with some of the colors in the Sugarplum collection, the pastel colors. So I've got reds and greens and yellows and brighter blues here, but it all kind of blends. And again, because the same colors are repeated in my photos, they work together. If I had one photo that had bright red in it and then nothing else on the page that kind of coordinated, it definitely would look a little bit, you know, it would stand out and maybe look like it didn't blend. But you can see that the pictures work because the background coordinates, and then there are some colors that coordinate, and then the colors that are brighter or different from the background papers definitely blend in. I am going to mat some of these photos onto 4x6 white mats, and that's for two reasons. I think it will make a definition between, or provide a definition between the background paper and the photo, and as well you can see that my photos, because of my photo printer, print just slightly smaller than a true 4x6. So I want to fill in any of those little gaps. So by just matting some of these photos, not only will it make them stand out, but it'll make them work a little bit more seamlessly with the background. Okay, so I will be sure to show you the finished layout at the end of the video, and of course you'll see a picture of the finished layout on the handout. So don't forget to go to that link below the video or in the blog post and download your copy of the printable so that you can play around with mixing and matching some of the pastel tones from Sugarplum with maybe some of your more traditionally colored Christmas photos. I think you'll be pleased and surprised at the beautiful results you're going to get. Okay, so enjoy Sugarplum and have a great day. We'll talk with you again soon. Bye-bye for now.